Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Youth Bombs. Appreciate you joining us today. I'm Tim.
And I'm Holden.
And we're the voice of young conservatives. You know, we're in a college town, so over holiday there's only so many young people to go around, so I had to step in here today. But Holden and I were going to kind of kick around a little search result. I put into my Brave search the biggest events of 2024. You know, everybody's kind of doing the year in review and the predictions, I suppose. Maybe we'll do a prediction show for New Year's as well. But Holden, you're down to go through some of these stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the first category that actually comes up is global politics. What's the first thing that jumps out to you about politics from 2024?
I mean, obviously Trump winning for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think is it that makes it? What element of it kind of makes it a momentous? Because everything that happened, you know, between the Biden going to Harris, the fact that he got reelected, the fact that he won it all when he didn't 4 years ago, what of that just kind of makes it so impactful of an event, you think?
I think Trump is a unique character. We've never seen anything quite like him. So, and also it is the United States after all. So we are the superpower, and everybody's paying attention to us mostly. So I mean, Trump is like him or hate him, he's a very interesting phenomena.
Yeah, and I think this list, if we go through it, is probably going to be pretty neutral on whether it's good or bad. Mm-hmm. Just from the strictly, the absolute value of just impactful, I think is probably where a lot of these things are going to hit on. The number 2 one on global politics was ousting of autocratic rulers. Honestly, I don't really know a lot about that one. But the third one it talks about is actually impeachment of the South Korean President Yoon. And I think that's a fairly recent event, if I'm not mistaken. But, I saw some of the headlines about uprising and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any idea what that's even talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I saw that, but I didn't pay much attention to it. I saw that people stood up in North Korea to whoever it was for some reason. So, okay, great. I mean, South Korea is not too bad compared to most countries, so...
Fair enough. Okay, so the next group here is military conflicts, and there's actually only 2 here listed: the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas conflict. Let's start with number 1. We'll kind of go in order. What is your take on where kind of the Russia-Ukraine stands, right? And maybe incorporate the element of Trump's boasting about ending this war before he even takes office. So that's Russia, Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't know enough about it really to have a deep opinion on it. Hopefully they could reach a resolution where Ukraine gets back their territory. I know they lost a lot of East Ukraine. And I hope that we mind our own business in foreign affairs as well. So, which doesn't look like that's going to happen. Trump is pledged that he will continue to give aid to Ukraine, and he's also said that he will end the war in 24 hours or something like that when then he gets elected. So, I mean, we'll see what he does. I doubt that that's going to be true.
I'd have to think that has made this list because it's ongoing, because we spent so much damn money over there that you and I would agree the money we don't have in this, and the potential for Trump to get potentially the first, sort of foreign policy victory here coming right out of the gate. How much of that topic you think is occupying sort of the pre-inauguration conversations right now, maybe even behind doors?
In terms of how did that?
Do you think they're already working on a ceasefire? You think they're already working on a treaty? You think Trump's people are already talking to Russia?
I mean,
how do you think that's going?
I think they're talking to Zelensky, but I know that they've met, and I think they're talking. I think Trump probably said that I believe he said that he had a plan to end the war even before he got elected, and Putin came out and said, well, you should tell us and let us know right now. I think he was probably most likely bluffing about that. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I doubt that Trump has a solution that they could agree on. I know recently Zelensky said that he is willing to end the war in Ukraine for if Russia is willing to, or if Russia is willing to accept a 20-year NATO membership for Ukraine. Ukraine becomes a member of NATO for at least 20 years, and they could keep like a lot of the territory in East Ukraine. I think was the agreement that Zelensky proposed.
So he would be willing to stop the war if Ukraine could be in NATO for 20 years and Russia gets to keep the territory.
Right.
Yeah, that's almost exactly where. Well, maybe you shouldn't use the word exactly, but that's almost where this all started back in 2014 when our CIA overthrew the Ukrainian government to begin with, was the pissing match about the European Union or the Eurasian Union and the whole NATO aspect. But it's funny, I was listening to Scott Horton while I was traveling a couple of weeks ago, and he's all over this whole history and all that stuff, and he goes back even further than that, where we were talking about not advancing NATO any further towards Ukraine, and we totally walked that back. We totally, I don't know if we necessarily lied, but we certainly didn't hold up to our end of the bargain. And we've had this whole like mission creep closer and closer to Russia. And I'm not necessarily, cheerleading Putin in this situation at all. But goodness, I mean, I guess there's some validity of why the guy's mad, right? You keep putting missiles closer and closer, to his house. But anyway, so number 2, Israel Hamas conflict. God, I don't even know if we want to get into that one. It's a little white hot kind of issue there. But any 1 or 2 lines on that one, you think?
I mean, I hope that they could. I just want the United States to mind its business, and I don't think Hamas is a threat to the United States. But Israel is obviously a much more free country than most countries are, and they feel very strongly about the land situation there. Both of them. So
well, and I remember Trump in an interview. It applied more to the Ukraine-Russia issue, but it applies here also. Where let's give him credit, and he said, "I just want the killing to stop.
Right.
I just want to stop the killing." And I'm all in favor of stopping all these endless wars. And
agreed.
I'm very Rand Paul. On that, and it's not. The left likes to paint it as the what do they call it? It's non-interventionalism or isolation. Yeah, they try to lambast you and say you're an isolationist it's like a slur, but it isn't. The non-intervention is not going around the world kicking anthills,
right?
Looking for dragons and monsters to destroy, which is, that's been a comment around for forever. So, the next one, natural disasters. Who can avoid the whole flooding issue in North Carolina? So that one definitely makes the list. Flooding, wildfires, and hurricanes. Which one do you think of those was the most impactful in 2024?
I mean, I think that hurricanes, floods, wildfires. I mean, we obviously had a couple hurricanes, but we're obviously much safer from the climate than we've ever been. Climate-related deaths are down 98-fold over the last 100 years. Unfortunately,
I didn't know that. Where'd you get that?
There's a good book on it called The Moral Case, or it's called The Fossil Future by a guy named Alex Epstein, and he talks about how we are by far safer from the climate than we've ever had been, and almost every single year we get safer and safer, and that's largely because we could use cost-effective energy to power machines and other houses, like to make houses and other stuff that makes us safer from the climate. And like irrigation systems that help with droughts, and several other things, machines that you could use to help with floods, like dikes and stuff like that.
Sure.
And so we're getting safer from the climate. We have a climate renaissance going on right now, and
you know what I think is really funny about the whole climate change argument that typically comes from the left is, in my opinion, if you believe that, and I don't believe it, but if you believed it. The problem that they get themselves into is I only feel like a capitalist economy is going to solve that problem.
Right. Government
is not going to solve that. They want to tell you that they can by taxing the hell out of you, but capitalism is the only thing that's actually going to solve that, because they're going to find the most efficient way of trying to deal with it. So, okay, cool. We got two other categories here. First one is other significant events, space exploration, SpaceX. And actually, we were talking kind of earlier offline. We saw the video where the SpaceX, I don't know what the correct terms are, but the rocket was caught by the tower.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was saying how impressed I was when they just got the rockets to land back on the ground, which is immovable. It doesn't move. It's your XY axis. That's all you're dealing with. Then they landed the stupid things on a barge. You got X, Y, Z that you're dealing with, and then they catch it in the tower. To me, that whole band of achievements that SpaceX has been able to string together is, I mean, that's like generational change, and I'm not sure that we have really given it the most, afforded it the recognition that it probably deserves. I think it's partly more impressive than landing on the moon, to a certain extent. But yeah, and it's interesting because I have a friend who works down on the Cape, and they were telling me how SpaceX will launch 10 rockets for every one that Boeing just sets off, and it's almost like a perfect, like pretty much capitalist model versus a pretty much government model,
right?
And you can the differences this person was explaining to me could not be more stark, and that over the next 5 or 10 years is going to be pretty interesting. It's to see who or which model sort of wins out there. Because I mean, SpaceX is for hire, right? You can put whatever you want on that rocket, and they'll shoot it up, right? It's not all Starlink stuff, right?
Yeah, I don't think it is all Starlink stuff.
Because I think didn't they just go rescue the people from the space station when Boeing couldn't?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think they.
Yeah, I know their projects are more than 10 times less, or 10% of the cost of NASA's.
Yeah.
That the government wants NASA to do. They're like, oh, we could do this for a tenth of the cost. I mean, the only reason
if Boeing wants success, maybe they'll just hire SpaceX.
Yeah, Boeing, like the only reason a Boeing survives is because they could borrow at a low interest rate because they're closer to a money printer. Like that's the only reason that a company like Boeing or IBM could survive, is just simply because of the fiat regime. People that are closer to money printers could be unproductive with capital but still maintain it.
So SpaceX is further from the money printers, yet a tenth the cost.
Yeah.
Go figure. I mean, that sort of showcases the difference there and how much just bureaucracy and red tape and grind is put into that NGO model with Boeing, which is kind of funny because if you look here further down the list, number 4 is Boeing incidents. I didn't look ahead, but that's pretty funny.
So crazy.
The company faced a series of incidents, including a window and a fuselage piece flying off of the MAX 737s and an engine cover ripping off of the 737-800 plane. For somebody who flies a lot like I do, that's pretty concerning. But I think in reality, aviation is one of the safest modes of travel, so I don't worry about it at all. But anytime something like this happens with an airplane, it gets completely blown out of proportion because it is so rare and so infrequent,
right?
That it gets sort of kind of a little bit of extra publicity, I suppose. So wrapping up, we've got a couple of notable events, and I bet some of these I won't even have any idea about. Kendrick versus Drake. A high-profile music beef between rappers Kendrick Lamar and Drake. Your thought on that? Do you even know what this is about?
I know what it's about. It's whatever.
Is this Biggie Smalls, Snoop Dogg of the 2024 or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say those are two big names.
So this is two publicists that just want to have a marketing deal for their guys, right?
Probably. I don't know for sure.
So Mr. Beast controversy. The YouTuber faced allegations of being a fraud and was involved in a controversy surrounding PDF files. I know of Mr. Beast. I don't know anything about this controversy, but I suspect maybe you do. Do you?
I do know Mr. Beast, but I don't know about this controversy. So
He's one of the most successful YouTubers, correct?
yeah, I was actually at a friend's house the other day, and somebody that they knew was watching Mr. Beast on the TV, and apparently he's like involved in a Netflix deal now. So apparently he's making.
I did see a promo for like this game where the floor falls out, which was his. I'm pretty sure it was his. I hope I'm not sounding like a total idiot and somebody else, but yeah, I mean he has really parlayed that YouTube success probably better than anybody else. The last one here. Eurovision Song Contest. The 69th edition of the contest took place with national selections and all things Eurovision. I have no idea what that's talking about.
Yeah, same.
So we're ending on a bad note for this segment. But anything else that you think was a pretty big deal that we didn't mention here in 2024?
I mean, of course, there's a lot of things, but that were pretty big. But I mean, I think that humanoid robots are certainly becoming like the way the intelligence, the way intelligence is becoming like super cheap is quite astounding. That's happened in 2024. How fast intelligence is getting better and better is really astounding.
Well, I know you use that as an example a lot in comparisons with where the government is involved in sectors of the economy and where they're not.
Right.
One of the places they're not is computer power, computer storage. Without the government involving, it's one of the without the government being involved, rather, it's one of the fastest advancing exponential sort of sectors of the economy, bar none.
Yeah, tech is
really is.
Yeah, it really it's actually like pretty hard to regulate. Just because it's kind of decentralized. Like the internet is so decentralized, and you see phenomenal things happen whenever you leave people free to do stuff and you don't try and interfere with it. And so, in the United States, we've got the biggest tech companies in the world, and the top 10, at least top 5 companies: Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Nvidia. They're all in the United States, and that's not an accident.
Gotcha. Well, hey, on a local level, I'll put in the Florida Gators football team in 2024 ended amazingly better than they had expected to. So on that positive note, we'll wrap it up here. Join us 3 times a week here on Youth Bombs. Check us out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to send us an email, do so at youthbombs@alachuarepublicans.com, and we will see you next time. Thanks a lot for tuning in.